long this is going to be? How long this class is going to be?
At least I'm thinking 20 to 25 classes because...
No. I'm not talking about like how many, how the duration of one class. Like today, what
40
time?
minutes to 1 hour.
40 minutes to 1 hour. Okay. Thank you, Raghu.
Minimum is 40 minutes and anyway I'm recording. So yeah, whenever I want.
Okay, Raghu. Okay, thank you.
So now let's start. So this is my email ID. You can ping me anytime. I mean, Prasad, Raghu, whatever. You can call me Prasad. Anything is fine. So this is my email ID. And so what you're going to discuss in this thing as of now, I mean, we can do some more stuff, but as of now, the content for this courses is, you can stop me anywhere if you have questions like Saida is doing. So with respect to core Java, we'll discuss about the typical Java stuff like collections, basic Java, all those things. Even if you know that is fine, you just participate. Why? Because you can still ask some specific questions, more specific to like interviews. Because what I see is many times, even myself, when I'm doing these proxy interviews, sometimes in the basics only we'll think a bit more, sometimes. Then we'll spend some time on multi-threading. Why? Because many interviews are saying interviewers just want you to know multi-threading. Doesn't matter whether you used it or not. But in the interview, they're just expecting you to know multi-threading and you expect to know, explain something about multi-threading very well. Then Java 8, most of the interviews asking the features. Then there is something very specific to asynchronization. This has been introduced in Java 8. This also sometimes they're expecting. You can say next level of threading in a more event-driven fashion. You might not understand, but people are expecting. We'll discuss on those things. Then with respect to Spring, Spring Core, we need to understand the basics of servlets and get into some Spring Boot, which we'll see in the microservices level. Because Spring also people are expecting you to know, like Spring, Scopes, etc., they're expecting. And within microservices also, like they will get into RESTful API services. So for now we can leave it. Even though very few guys will ask about SOAP services, that time we can still manage with whatever the proxy interview, whatever. But focus is what is Spring Boot and what is the Spring Data JPA and relation with Hibernate? Because when they ask what is the data connection you're using, I'm using Spring Data JPA. It's internally Hibernate, but we'll see this also. Then Spring Security people are asking. Doesn't matter what you used. Then database integration with MySQL and Hibernate. Then some specific guys, see, I'm not giving in a very typical fashion. You can read online stuff, YouTube stuff, whatever. I'm trying to focus more on giving some core idea of the language and focusing on the interviews and certain things more, which will be helpful more in your jobs and also more with respect to integration with AWS and integration with CI/CD. Does any of you, let's come in a reverse way. Does any of you don't know what is CI/CD? You can even type in the chat window. So the people who know, no need to say anything. Who doesn't know can tell me like you don't know, and just to understand.
What was that again? Can you repeat?
Is there anyone who doesn't know what is CI/CD?
No, I don't know.
I'm sure you know.
Yeah,
this.
I don't know.
Also, you have an idea. Then Hamza also might have an idea, right, Hamza?
Little bit, Raghu. Not. It's basically continuation integration, right? And
yeah, go on, Lisa.
Yeah, CI/CD is a pipeline, continuous integration and continuous delivery. This is a DevOps environment where we keep our where we do all automating, or building operations or testing deployment of our application based on our company's standards. So and everything is we deployed in application, so it's everything should be go through with CI/CD pipeline implementations.
Very good. See, I will not say it's 100% answer whatever, because many interviews have very different, but yes, you got the keyword, because sometimes interviewers will just look for a keyword. So the keyword you said is a pipeline, and then you use certain things like deployment. So the moment you say pipeline and deployment, it's a very good thing, because CI/CD is all about continuous integration and continuous deployment. What it means is okay, you have a code. You need to get the code, you need to build it, and then you need to compile it. That is the CI part, integration part. Then you need to deploy it into somewhere, some AWS, whatever, so that you have the end-to-end delivery of your product. So CI is about getting the code from your local Git repo or from somewhere, GitHub online, whatever, CI part. CD is all about the second part, deployment part. Together we normally call CI/CD, and together we can say it's about end-to-end delivery. So CI/CD is this thing, but the moment you say pipeline and deployment, that's very good enough. And yeah, so we will see that CI/CD with at least 2 tools. This thing is there in the DevOps training also, but nowadays doesn't matter whether you say Java, Python. Most of the interviewers are asking, do you have an idea on CI/CD? You don't need to know fully, but if you have, it's a good bonus. Now, Sayada or other person like Tahani, you want to do any cross questions to Nisar? I can go very fast, but I don't want to go very fast because I want you guys to really learn and practice something.
Yeah.
Any questions to Nisar, Sayada, and Tahani? Or even this guy, Naeem Ahmed?
So what was your question?
No, I'm asking, do you have any questions to what Nisar has said just now? Because my explanation might be very professional, but Nisar...
Yeah, it is. It is very professional, and I mostly miss all the, I
know. So now my question is, do you have any questions to what Nisar has said? Because he kept it very simple, like a very beginner point of view. And interviews, it's not good, but general understanding, it's very good. Any questions to what Nisar has said now? Okay, you are not.
Can he repeat what? Can you repeat the CI/CD one more time, please?
No.
Yeah, sure.
That's fine.
I'll do that.
No, it's fine, Nisar. No.
Okay.
Let's not get into too much because we need to focus on getting into the class, and then yeah. Now, CI/CD thing we have discussed. Let's get on to the other one. So we'll do one kind of a project so that you actually use the features of Spring Boot and create a REST API and use something for Maven for code building. Then the same project we will use with the project with CI/CD. Yeah. So basically we'll take a project, we'll run it locally, and we'll take the same project, deploy it to the AWS. We'll do this so that you get an idea, because normally many times interview questions will be like, okay, explain your Spring Boot experience, explain your project. Still, you cannot explain your own actual project or whatever, but at least if you know what project you have done, sometimes you have to speak on your own, because nowadays lip sync is very tough. So it will be helpful there as well as your job. And then we'll focus on AWS integration. We might get into one simple app for Azure, but that we'll see based on the time. Then other thing is unit testing and mock frameworks. This itself might take almost 3 to 4 classes or more than that. Why? Because most of you might not be knowing what is Mockito, what is this unit testing, all this stuff, but most companies need this. Doesn't matter if you're in a test automation role or in a development role, unit testing and some coding around that is required. So we'll discuss some tool like JUnit. Then code quality tools. This is again part of a CI/CD tool, and there are some terms like static analysis, all those things. We'll see some sample tools, and SonarQube is an open source, very, very powerful. We'll try to integrate with Jenkins and show one demo kind of thing. And during the course of the project, I will tell you to create a AWS account, and you will have some free tier thing. Maybe in the entire course, you might have to spend like $5 or $10 because you might play with some instances that you will see. But as much as possible, we'll try to do in your own system. I assume all of you or most of you will have either Windows or Mac laptops. Am I right? Does anyone of you have Linux laptop?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fine. That's the reason even I'm doing on a Windows laptop given by this guy Syed. Okay. So this is the focus of our course pretty much in next 20 or 30 classes. More than the speed, I want you guys to really learn. I can finish even within 5 to 10 classes. But what's the point? So with respect to core Java, now there are various sections. So core Java, all those things. Core Java, maybe we'll do in 2 to 3 classes or 4, whatever, doesn't matter. First thing is, I'm going to use with respect to more of tutorials point thing. I'm not going to use all the material in tutorials point, but I will use substantially these examples and all the stuff, because certain things is really kept it as simple as possible, these guys. Then environment setup. I'm assuming all of you know how to download a Java, especially Java version 8, JDK 8. If not, open this tutorials point link, and there is a section called environment setup. So this you can do yourself at home, and you have one more day tomorrow so that you can practice setting up your path for Windows. So they're given how you can download on your system, download it, then set the path for Windows. You can do. If you have any issues, you can ping me. Let me also give my mobile number so that you can ping me in the WhatsApp. So my number.
I have a question, Raghu. So are we restricted to use IntelliJ, or can we use any IDE for Java?
You can use any IDE. In fact, the very first example I'll show in compilation from directly from the system, like command prompt. I'll also show from Eclipse and IntelliJ.
Okay.
Since if you are not an expert person who is really working in any company right now, if you have very good experience, go with IntelliJ. Otherwise, stick with the basic, stick with Eclipse. Why? Because most tutorials are even if you see somewhere online, Udemy or this thing, most of the guys use Eclipse, and there is a strong reason behind it. So stick with Eclipse, my suggestion. Yeah, even Spring Tool Suite for whatever, if you see the actual IDE is based on Eclipse. It's pretty good. Ahmad Sahab is saying, I think Ahmad Sahab, did you mention your email ID? Oh, this guy is Ilyas Bhakti. Are you the same guy, Ilyas?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, nice man.
Yeah, nice to
I was complaining about you that I don't know how much is true that you are not somehow doing well. I don't know how much is true, but whatever, nice to see you. Yeah, mention your email ID here again.
Yes, it's up over here.
Yeah, just that one, Ahmad Naeem Syed, that one.
No, that's I'll type in my name.
Yeah, type it. So by the way, my phone number is I'm in Houston. You can come anytime to meet me. 536-4166. So add me in WhatsApp so that if any questions during the deployment, whatever, you can still ping me. Let me add this guy. Yeah, sharing. So all of you should have got an invite link for this Google Drive so that you know what to see, where to refer, everything. Okay, so my phone number is also here in the chat window. Make it and keep it in the WhatsApp so that while doing anything, if you have issues, you just ping me here. Now let's go to the thing. So this is how you need to set up in Windows. Actually, yeah, as Saida is saying, one advantage with IntelliJ is the moment you install, it's very huge file. It will have its own version of Java and everything. So you don't need to install separately, but I don't recommend that. Why? Because you should know how to download Java separately and use it. Why? Because it will help you in the job. Also, interviewers can explain. Okay, they can suddenly ask, how did you work with your Java? So you need to know some fundamentals. If you just say, no, I use some IDE took care, no, they will not be happy. Let me give one more example. I assume some of you like Ilyas and others are using Git like Bitbucket or GitHub, GitLab, whatever. You can still manage with your IDE and do all the work with your Git version control system. Means how you maintain your code. But still, interviewers will expect, how do you do Git commands from the command line? They don't care which IDE you use. They just expect you to know Git commands as much as possible. That's it. So certain things you can't help it. You just need to learn and use. So with respect to environment, you can just follow whatever this guy said in the tutorials point. They have a separate section for Windows. And they also mentioned Notepad, NetBeans, and Eclipse. Yes, Saida was saying IntelliJ. Even I like IntelliJ. IntelliJ Community Edition. When in some companies they use Professional Edition. Professional Edition is really good. If you use Professional Edition, then you might not like the Community Edition. So Saida, which one did you use? Community Edition or Professional Edition?
I use Professional Edition, I think.
Yeah, if you use Professional, you cannot like Community Edition because the features are very less. That's fine.
Okay.
If you think you can manage in IntelliJ, do it. But if you are not very sure, just stick with the IntelliJ. I mean, Eclipse.
No, I will follow this Google Drive instructions and I will redo it. It's fine.
Yeah. So now we'll start the actual stuff. Any questions so far, guys? It could be even basic also fine.
I think we are good.
Fine.
Okay, excellent. So next, online editor. Okay, in 10 minutes it will close. You guys need to just rejoin the same link, and just let me show you this online editor. See, if you are not sure some Java, you need something quick, even from your mobile. You can just practice it. And my favorite program is this Hello World. That's the reason I copied this link. And good, some of you are very slightly experts, and some of you are very beginners. That doesn't matter. We'll focus on end-to-end. So I'm just executing this simple program. Hello World. I'll do some changes. So it does the change. Let me do some stupid thing. I will just update this class name like 123. It will not work. So all those of you who have understood this concept, keep quiet. For people who doesn't know, just try to guess what could be the reason. Say this. Oh, it still worked. It's not supposed to. Actually.
So the name of the class should be same as the file name. That is
Exactly.
why, yeah.
You know the answer, so you know this, but actually many people doesn't know. Same thing.
But yeah, you did not create the name, right? You didn't create a file. You copied the link. That's why it's
yes,
working.
because in this online editor of tutorials point, the same thing has went there. Let me show the same
defaulted.
thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let me show the same thing in Eclipse. So what I have done in the Eclipse, I just created. Let me just remove this thing. Let me show the same thing freshly so that you know. This is a code. So I'm removing this project completely, project -1. I will just delete completely so that I fresh screen. Delete on the disk, yes. So I'm creating Eclipse from the scratch. So exiting the Eclipse. So normally what you do, just based on the tutorials point, you just install Java. You don't need to configure anything, just install Java. And then you just install Eclipse and download. While installing the Eclipse, you just focus on Enterprise Edition as much as possible. Then you just type in your Cortana or whatever, Eclipse, you get this. See this, I've installed the Eclipse for Enterprise Java developers. Once you install the EXE, you will get multiple options. I think if I have, let me show that. Eclipse, yeah, it's there. This is the thing with Java. It takes a ton of a time to launch many times. Okay, you guys can see it later. But my plan is you select, when you open it, you will get these options. You select the second option, which is Enterprise Java, because we need to practice the Spring Boot. That is more of the Enterprise Java J2EE. Basic Java, no, that's normal testing thing. As a developer, you need to focus on Enterprise Java. So select this for install. Once your Eclipse is installed, you just need to launch it. Automatically, it will detect that while installing Java, all those things, once you install Java. Now, we'll do this sample program. I think Sayada and Ilyas, both of you, I think both of you know many concepts. So for certain things, whether you attend the class or not doesn't matter, but keep practicing something more as the topic I given the focus areas, and you can ask me questions.
Okay.
Because Spring Boot is not just Spring Boot now. There are something called reactive microservices, Spring Flux, then terminologies like Flux and Mono. There are so many things changing. So if you think you know this level, you can practice and ask me. If you don't know, you can just study and ask me. Because in the software field, you have to just keep on learning, whether you like it or not. What do you say, Elias?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, now the moment you open the Eclipse, it comes something like this. You get a welcome screen. You just need to close it. So what I'm doing, I'm here, right click, then new Java project. And I will give some dummy name like project -1 because I just want some hello world program, all default options. And I will just say finish. So now from the shared whatever the document I have given. So first thing you guys need to do, hello world program. So this is the same thing from tutorials point directly. Just copy it. Now go here, source, right click. Session might close in next 5 minutes. So let's do the third, new class. And I'll just type my favorite, hello world. HW capital, that's it, all default options. So I will do some control S save. In IntelliJ it saves automatically, any small change you do, but in other it is like Eclipse and this, you need to save every time. Control S, or else go here and then save, something like save all. Control S, yeah. Since it is already saved, it's not there. Otherwise, you need to press this. Just let me run this. This is like a CLI applications, command line. You can even run from your command prompt, but I want to focus more on IDE. So we got the hello world. Let's do that same stupid change which I was planning to do. 1, 2, 3. So you see already error has come. Must be defined in its own way. So I'm just clicking this button. You can click from here or you can just click this button. Could not find or load main class hello world. So this is a very common irritating error you might see. But the basic part is it was not able to find the class. Why? Because Java is a multi-stage thing. Interpreter, all those stuff is there. Compiler and interpreter. It has internally, that's whatever JVM something. We are not discussing it now. So simply thing you need to remember is make sure whatever the thing you have created, file name and the class name should be same. So that it will detect and will not see this painful error. Now it looks very simple, but in projects when you get this, it's very irritating. Ilyas might be knowing, Ilyas and Nisar. So this is a very simple thing. Same thing, you can take it to IntelliJ and you can run. I have just not done now. It's because it's very simple stuff, because I want to stick with Eclipse. And the other way you can run is go to your command line and run it the way they are shown here. Sorry. Yeah, if you see here, environment and you run, where is this? Yeah, there they have mentioned how you can run it also. I mean, Java C, Java. So basically you need to use first Java C to compile it. Yeah, like this. Whatever the program you have, go to your prompt, wherever the file is, first do Java C. It will compile and create something like my first program dot class. Then you need to do Java. So this first part is compilation. The second part is interpretation. And with this JVM, it is multi-platform. So you can have Java in various OS because of that JVM, whatever. This thing you need to do. I don't like this kind of execution. You can still try it. So my preferred way is you practice somewhere in the online tools like this thing and go to your IDE like Eclipse and IntelliJ, run your program. So we have 2 minutes, it will close it and we again reopen. Any questions so far? Except for Ilyas and Sayada. Any questions, guys?
No, I don't.
No, I have.
Okay, no one has any questions. So all of you know my email ID and all of you know my phone number and all of you got this shared link. If there anyone who has not got this share, you would have got an invite so that you can just see this Java training. After this today's session, I'm going to upload here with the complete video. Then in next 2 minutes, we're going to come disconnect and come back because it will disconnect automatically. We'll discuss on classes and objects and we'll discuss on very basic if statements, then for while loops. Then there is very small exercise. You take a day to do, and again on whenever we meet on Friday, you will just do that show me, and whoever has difficulty will discuss, because you just practice whatever is possible. And Okay, so I'm anyway stopping the share so that I will stop the recording. Yeah, I'll just upload it once done. Okay, so we are done with the very basic stuff of Hello World thing. Now, I want to show some kind of a program which is not exactly a great one, but which depicts things. There is something called employee project. So the files are kept in this Google Drive link, the same link. You can anyway go there also. So there are two files, employee.java, employee.test.java. I'll just show you. So what you need to do pretty much the same way. I'm just collapsing this, not deleting it. You can just say close. This is really good in Eclipse. This is not there in IntelliJ. I really like this in Eclipse. So I did the same way. Create some dummy project name like employee project. Go to your source. We'll see something called namespaces later on. Then you will not see default package. For now, let's keep it simple. And I just added these two files, employee.java, employee.test.java. Let me explain. So basically, I want to explain exactly these concepts in 1 minute. Objects and classes, and which I mentioned here. Basically, I want to explain class, object, constructor, method, and a variable. I just want to explain it in a very basic way. So let's talk in a very physical things. Class. See, Java, all these things are about something called object-oriented programming. And if you talk about perfect object-oriented programming, there is something called ADA, all these things. Java is not 100% object-oriented programming. It has its own reasons. That is more of an interview question. We'll see that later. Not many interviewers ask that. But point is, anything in this world is an object. I mean, what they mean is, for example, your car, whatever, anything, human being, anything is like an object. So class is like a template. Class has some structure. When you give some life to it, which they say instantiation, it is an object. We'll see all these things practically. So now let's talk in a very programmatic sense. So say this employee. This is an employee class. Has a structure. This one I'm directly going with some deep stuff, so you don't need to worry even if you don't understand this. Just focus on the concept. So it's an employee class. The moment I create some instance out of it, which is here in this another file, I'm actually initializing or whatever you say. This is called instantiating the class. There, EMP1, EMP2 means employee 1 and employee 2 become the objects. So this is a class structure where these are called, what do you say? I will just write. This is a comment. Member variables are also known as data members. So member variables. Then this constructor part will come to it a bit later. All the remaining stuff, whichever you see like a function. Function means it has something, it does something if you call them. So all these functions, they are like member functions. So this is like member functions, all this below. Member function. So when they mean typically in a Java sense, object and class almost mean the same because class is just a template. So this constructor part we'll see. So we have covered class and object, constructor we'll see, data members and member functions. Because sometimes theory is so much. That's the reason I'll get into practical part. Now, this is a structure. In some people, they also say this is called plain old Java object, POJO. POJO. Very popular term, plain old Java object. Means when you have a class like this, it is called a POJO, plain old Java object, because that's how Java understands this class structure, etc., etc. This POJO concept will be useful in the Spring Boot time. Now, I'm just trying to test that code. So employee.java is a Java POJO, plain old Java object of employee class. Now I'm trying to create an object. See here what's happening. So first I'm saying the type of the class. Then I'm using some variable name like int a equal to 12, where you're assigning an integer called a equal to value 12. Something like that. I gave emp1. We need to use this new operator. This is a syntax. So point is I'm instantiating it. What I'm doing, I'm giving the name to it. New employee James Smith. We can give any name. But idea is you're passing this parameter. So in general, for any classes, by default, there is something called a default constructor. But here what we are doing, class name we are putting as it is. So this becomes the constructor. There is some concept called destructors that you will see in C++, but in Java, we don't need to write any destructors. Normally in C++, we used to write like with a tilde like this. Destructor means it destroys an object. This gets into some garbage collection. Let's not go all the stuff now. So what this constructor is doing, whatever the name you give, assigning, when you say this means the current one. So what we are doing, whatever the value you pass, we are assigning the value to this variable. So by default, all other variables, age, designation, salary doesn't have any values. Usually they'll have something like 0 or null character. So that's exactly what we are doing. We are assigning some name. Then rest of the program is all about, for each object, you can call the respective methods. So you can set the age, some designation, some salary, and printing it. So what happens when you're printing it? Print employee, the standard system.out.println, you are printing something to the console. So let me run, and you just get something like this. So what you get? First employee James Smith, you get the respective details. Then other employee Mary Ann. Now let's do some stuff. Like I'm not assigning anything here. It's clearly saying the constructor employee is undefined. What it means is, by default, in any Java class, there will be something called default constructor. What default constructor does, it will be something like this. We don't see that. It will be like this. Like what? It doesn't have anything, no input. Also, it doesn't do anything. No input, no output. So default constructor, why it is given? So that you can call the class directly. Means you are not setting any variable. You can do, now it is saying no error. But if you run it, this will not work. But there is some concept called default constructor. The moment you use some kind of a parameter like this, then it will become parameterized constructor. Means think constructor like a function, something you can call. You are passing some value to it. That is called parameterized constructor. So the moment you type some parameterized constructor, the default constructor is removed. I told a lot of things. You might not digest this. You can see the same topic maybe after 10-15 sessions, but still I want to tell so that you understand the basics of class, object, data members, everything. So forget about this constructor and parameterized constructor. Have you guys understood the concept behind class, object, variable, I mean that member variable, and function, and a constructor at a high level? Anyone has questions on this? We can stay for some time here because it's very deep topic. I mean, the focus is about you guys understanding these terms: class, object, constructor, methods, and variables. Exact number is this one. You can call data members, means your variables within a class. Then method means your functions within a class. Any questions here, guys? Yes, Saida, tell me. Hamid raised a hand. Oh, very good. So Tahani raised a hand. Okay, what's your question, Tahani? Yeah, tell me, Tahani. At least you would have understood something. What you understood so far in this thing? Hello?
There was a lot of noise, so I was typing in, but that's fine. I was just asking that there is a lot of things. So the tutor you told us, you want us to go step by step and follow that tutor, because the other people, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of information, but I am
So I'll tell you one thing, even if you see these objects in class and go to that example, whatever, first of all, you need to find where it is. Yeah, it is here in the same page. It's somewhere in the middle. So by the time you try to understand, you might not do. But what I want you to understand here in a high level is,
okay,
forget about constructor. At least you should understand the topic of what is a class, what is an object, what is a member variable, what is a method. These 4 things have you understood or not?
yes,
That's enough. Constructor, parameterized constructor, that you can see after 10 classes. You can come back and see, that is fine. The reason I took such a complicated program at a very beginner level is, I don't want to do all the spoon feeding stuff. This is this, that is this. No, all those things not required in your job, not required in your interview. They expect practical stuff. They expect you to know something. So in any developer point of view, you need to know the code. They talk only about his code. Even if you write like a pseudocode is fine, but you need to understand the syntax around it or concept around it. So you understood the concept at least of those 4 things, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. This is nice. So anyone has any questions or doubts, you can raise the hand. Nice. See? Okay. Now let's get into some, again, basic stuff for a few people, maybe deep stuff for some others. We'll get into some decision making and loop control. I'm not going to execute much, but maybe I'll execute one sample program, but you will get an idea. Then once we are done, we'll have a small exercise at the end. So you can show it to me by, yeah, Friday. So decision making is like blocks. In Java, we have like if block and then switch case. We'll see the variants also. So if block means, like a meaning says, you have a condition. If the condition is successful, you print something. Then if else block, all of this you can try to run in your own system and see what's happening. So if else means some condition is there, like say x equal to less than 20. Obviously in this case, this condition is failed. So it will get into the else condition. So if else, but it's not all the time you need if else. Sometimes you need something more. So that's where there is a if else. So what you do first, you take some condition, like say here 30, condition is less than 20. Now what happens? First condition is failed. Now it's come to the second condition. It will check, is x greater than or equal to 40? It's not, because 30 is obviously less than 40. So this condition is not met. I'm not explaining what are the operators, because general symbols you will be able to understand. So this is like greater than or equal to. If you just have this one, it just means less than. So obviously if you read it to plain English, 30 is definitely less than. Condition is asking for greater than or equal to 40. Had it been like 50, this statement would have been true. So again, no. Now what is there? Else part. So if is gone, else if is gone. What is there? If else is remaining. So this will be the output. Let's do this one complicated stuff. But I would say you guys in a basic if block, you just stick with if else. You just try to remember this. But for this discussion, I'm trying to run this complicated one. If else. So I'm just running it. What I'm doing, I will collapse the employee project. You can either close it. If you are not very sure, just instead of closing, just click this arrow. It will at least shorten up. Now you just need to say whatever the collapsed one, you just need to go and click, I think, open. Yeah, open project. So instead of hello world, what you are going to do, just close the old files. Sometimes it might confuse. So in the hello world Java, instead of all this stuff, I'm replacing my stuff, and my stuff has a different class name. So again, I'm putting hello world. So that way I will not get that stupid error, not able to find the class. I'm telling you that error looks basic, but you will see that so many times in your actual work. So I'm just running very basic thing. So it's coming to the else statement. Now let's say X value is 50. So now what happens? Obviously it will come to the else if thing, because first it came to this condition, X is obviously not less than 20. So this section is skipped. It will come to this place. 50 is greater than or equal to 40. Yes, definitely greater than. And so it will print else if statement. And this statement will work even if you have X value as 40. But if you say X greater than 40, now you will get else. Why? Because first condition is obviously failed. Second condition says it should be greater than 40. Since there is no greater than or equal to, this condition also failed. Now it will come to the else statement. This is if variants. Then there is something called switch case. It's not very favorite, but pretty good. So switch case is all about, like, let's say I give some name, character, something. So I'm checking in a various sections. It's more like a if block only, if else if kind of thing. So first, case A, it means like you are saying the given character, is it matching to this case? If yes, print it. Otherwise, just break it. Then it is checking to the B to C. And when you do like this sometimes it becomes complicated. So if you're not very sure, don't even use switch case, just leave it. But better to understand. So what happens, whether it is B or C, the same line will execute. And in case if this is gone, you will do this section. See this thing, after D, break is not there. This is a bit complicated. Why? Because at every statement, at the end of every section, you need to use the break. If you don't use break, let's say the condition is D. So you need to print this, and there is no break, it will not exit this loop, and it comes to KSF. So it can get into very confusing. Like else state, we have default. So I will not advise you guys to go more with switch case. Leave it very simple and limited. You stick more with if else if or if else. Any questions on this decision making thing? I went a bit fast, but any of you have any questions in this, what I showed and ran from the Eclipse? Anyone has questions here? You can raise the hand. You can remove it, I think. I will remove thing. Yeah, you can raise the hand. Anyone has questions here? Okay, no questions. Oh, all of you understood this if else if block and also switch case blocks?
Yeah, yeah, I understood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all this while loop, I'm actually pretty much advanced to it. I know recursion.
Just wait 2 minutes, Nisar. We're going to end it in next 2 minutes if possible, because I'm going to end it in next 2 minutes after discussing this do while loop, if possible.
Okay.
No, I'm telling
Okay,
to Nisar.
no problem.
That was to Nisar because he said he's going to leave. Loop control, again, there are 3 different things: for loop, while loop, do while loop. And while loop is all about while the condition is true, you just keep on doing it. I mean, if you go to the same tutorials point, these guys have explained much more deeply, but I don't want to really go more this loop control. For example, I'm just going this way. See this while loop. What it means is while the condition is true, you keep on executing the same code. While the condition is not true, just come out. This is the simple while. Then this variant of do while, which is like do something, doesn't matter condition is true or not, do something, execute something, then come to the condition. As long as the condition is true, keep on doing the same block. So the thing with do while is, even if the condition is not true, at least once it will be executed. So that is the thing with do while. This is only for interviews. Don't even use the do while loop. That's my strong advice. You focus more with for loop, and I'll show some variants also. This is really good. See what happens here is, this is a standard C style syntax. You're creating a variable called X, and you're checking the condition called X is less than 20, and then keep on incrementing X. So basically what you're doing, you have a loop starting from X equal to 10 to 19, because it cannot become equal to 20. So let's test this. And this syntax and this for loop, I'll say stick with it most, and very useful one. We'll just disperse in next 1 or 2 minutes. So I'm just running this. So x is from 19. So let me say x is less than or equal to 20. Basically, I'm changing the condition. So now what happens? It will print from 10 to 20. So this for loop you try to remember and stick with this. And you try to write a program or else copy from somewhere online, but ultimately I want you guys really do, and first do the Java setup. It might be tough for some people. Write a Java program to print even numbers from 1 to 100. Basically 1 to 100. So you need to use both for loop as well as some kind of addition making. You can do even with while loop, but I would say stick with for loop and addition making. Even if you copy from somewhere online, try to understand it. Because I will ask the specific question randomly, 1 or 2 of you, and we can leave the meeting. If any one of you have questions, we can discuss. Any one of you have any questions? What have we discussed on the loop control or any other topics or any other random topics?
I think most often in I've seen engineers using the enhanced for loop.
Hey, Elias. Yes.
Yeah, man. I got stuck with that one.
Which one? You mean for each?
Yeah, no, for the enhanced for loop, yeah. So you don't have this colon and all. It's in a single line. They write the output as well. I think I'm sure you are aware of that.
Yeah, I mean that for I in something, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got really. I know about this for loop.
No, let's not do. You are at least slightly expert compared to these people. You have almost 8 years of .NET.
No.
We'll do that also. There is something called data structures. Basically data structures collections. So during that time, we'll go to the enhanced for loop. Even if not, you can ask me anytime, because I don't want to get introduced that to all these people now itself. Let's not get into. Yeah, that's actually very good. Enhanced for loop. Yes. Yeah, even that is my favorite. In fact, I use that now. I don't use this for loop. This is like a C style. In fact, I don't use this, but for teaching, basic teaching, you need to use this, and interviews also you need to use this. So this is a standard for loop. Even in interviews also you can use this. You are talking about this one.
Yeah, it's really confusing, man.
Yeah, come on, man. What confusing? So basically, we'll get into data structure time, but I'm just explaining since you're asking. See, you have a data structure. We'll talk about arrays and strings also, some data structures in next few classes.
Yeah.
See, there is an array, character array. You can make it as a string array also. In this character array, it is like a list of elements.
Yeah.
Now, what you are doing in the enhanced for loop is you're giving some data type, so that you are saying some variable like int x equal to something. You're saying item. So it will pass through all the elements in the array. So it will basically get all the elements. It's as if like you are saying x equal to starting with 10. It will go all the way up to 19 or 20. So basically, this is like you just go through all the elements in the respective data structure.
Yeah.
But complication comes when the data structure is very complex, like a hash map, hash set. There it will become difficult. But you go with this example where it's just a character array, and you're reversing to or passing through each item. This is called for each. Actually, this is very common one in Python. Maybe that's the reason I felt easy. But yeah, this is a basic for loop you have seen. We are not going to discuss this for each for now, because no, I don't want to get into that stuff now. Any other questions, guys?
You can print your cell number again, please. It got disconnected from your last session.
Yeah, I'll give my US number because you only have my India number. So my number is this. So you try, all of you, you try to install Java. You try to set up your own IDE. I recommend Eclipse. Even if you have issues, you can ping me in my email ID, or you can ping me in this mobile number. Whatever it is, it's up to you. You can just ping me and I will respond based on my time. And just do it. Even if you're not able to do the exercise, also fine. At least attempt to install. At least try to run one of these programs, so that you learn something. And next session, I will pick one of you randomly, and so that you show what your work is. If you are not done, you will do first 10-15 minutes in the class. So for guys who are, you feel experts, you can join bit late, because every session, first 5-10 minutes, it's more of a recap of the exercise of the last session, because I want all of you or most of you to really practice. Okay, any questions, guys?
Yes, I have a question. Is there any way we can change the timing, or this timing is like mandatory,
See,
like 7?
We can change the timing. Point is, I need to do the proxy interviews. So if you want to get into that, you need to discuss with this guy, Syed Murtaza Ali. I don't think he will listen to you.
No, I'm saying like the timing, the class timing. Is there any way, if anybody don't have problem, can we do it like at
See,
night,
we can
like
see,
10
even
o'clock?
if you have a problem, you can look into the recording later on. But yeah, recording and being in the class is always different. So this is pretty much my current calendar. I will just enable only one view. If you see this, pretty much every day, time will be from 6 to 7, only for today. Only for today, I need to do some other course from some local university. Only because of that, I am doing this session for today at this time. But normally, and all the days,
It's going to be 6 to 7. Okay, all right.
So tomorrow is DevOps. If any of you want to really learn DevOps, go through this shared folder. I can share with you, because this Prasad@iLineSoft come mainly for iLineSoft. There is the same thing I've done for DevOps training. Now in few minutes, you're going to have some Java training thing here. So each day up to Saturday, we have an alternate stuff, 6 to 7. Whenever this rare cases happen, some interviews or some important interviews happens, or some class I have with respect to my course, only that time slight adjustment. Otherwise, 6 to 7. Okay, Tahani?
Okay, I got it.
Okay, guys, then if no questions, I will end this meeting. You will have this recording in next few minutes. Then you can refer to it and practice it. And yeah, keep practicing more and more. And because you just need to practice more. Coding is all about practice. There is no way to that. Okay, bye. See you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, someone is doing chat. Oh, thank you. Fine.